Actually, I'll start the recording now, just so then if you say anything while I'm gone, I'll know. I'll know. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay. I believe you.
Yes. Is she gone?
So
We should sing the waffle song.
I don't think randomly bursting into song is going to do much.
Are you sure?
No, not really.
I guess that means we can get started. These were stories that were submitted by subscribers in my Discord group.
Anyone want to say how you're supposed to pronounce this real quick?
Oh, my plan is to just pronounce all usernames wrong as I can.
Interesting.
Anyway, the prompt was, dwarves can hear and feel the thoughts of weapons and machines they touch. One day you placed your hand against the hull of a human tank. What does it say? What does it speak of? What story does it tell you? Alright, so the first submission is by Makiu.
Yeah, just say it different every time you say it.
Yeah, because it can't be a video from me without words being mispronounced. The Shaper walked through the human museum. He was there looking for a weapon that could break the stalemate in the war against the goblins. He entered the next room. All the previous ones held nothing that was not already in use by the dwarves, so he hoped he would finally find something here. Looking at the name of the exhibition, it said The Great War, also known as the War to End All Wars. The Shaper chuckled. Well, as this isn't the last room of the museum, that part is false. He looked at the mock-up of the trenches that were used extensively during that war, all so similar to the conflict back home. This filled him with hope he would finally find what he was looking for. First was some kind of stationary firearm. He brushed his hand over it to look at the memories of the rudimentary consciousness all machines and weapons possessed. A word appeared in the Shaper's mind. Oh shoot, that's what I was going to do before starting. Figure out how to pronounce this, because I'm pretty sure this is German.
Yeah. Didn't I? I asked you that at the start.
Maschinengewehr? Wait, I forgot how they pronounce G's. Crap.
Maschinengewehr.
Maschinengewehr.
Maschinengewehr. Oh, that makes sense, yeah.
A word appeared in the Shaper's mind. Maschinengewehr. He saw visions of it cutting down wave after wave of humans charging its position. The Shaper removed his hand and shook his head. This was not what he was looking for. All this would do was lock down the stalemate even further, and in addition to something similar was already deployed to the front a few months ago, although those had a lower fire rate than the one on display here. So he did make a mental note of it to improve the weapon back home. Next up was some kind of canister. Looking at the sign next to it, he found out it was used to release poisonous gas. This was definitely unusable due to how the air circulation in the cave was. All it would do was harm their own side. The Shaper started to lose hope he would find a weapon he could do. What? How dare you laugh at me? The Shaper started to lose hope he would find a weapon that could do what he was looking for as he turned a corner, and that was when he saw it. A war machine. It wasn't anything like he had ever seen before. An angular metal box on tracks armed with a 57mm cannon and 6 of those Maschinengewehrs he saw earlier. Instinctively, the Shaper knew this was what he was looking for, and the feeling he got from looking at it, the only other time he felt that way was when he looked at the skull of the last great dragon. For the first time he could feel the might radiate from it. He reached out to its flank, and even before touching it, he could feel the conscience of the machine stir, as if it wanted to share its story. He laid his hand on the machine and closed his eyes. He was in a foundry. No, a factory, as the humans called it, and the people were there, building him a powerful machine of war. The Shaper looked with interest at how the humans constructed the machine, especially the engine and propulsion methods, as it could move without the aid of train tracks, unlike the machines of the dwarves back home. When they finished building the machine, all went dark, and when the light returned, he was no longer in the factory, but on a battlefield. Trenches as far as the eye could see, the sound of cannons pounding in the distance, the smell of gunpowder, smoke and death. The war machine rolled forward together with others of its kind. Shrugging off machine gun fire, as if instead of rain of lead it were mere water, the machine fired its main cannon, destroying a machine gun emplacement in a single shot. Enemy troops were cut down by the hundreds with the combined firepower of its 6 machine-gewehr, as if nothing could be done to stop it, as it and its kin cleared out the enemy positions. Darkness again. Now the machine found itself in an open field. 2 of its kin by its side. In the distance he could see 3 of the war machines of its enemy. It didn't take long before the 2 sides engaged in combat. 2 of the enemy war machines were only armed with machine guns, and those couldn't hurt it no matter what they tried. A few shots from its main cannon and those 2 were forced to retreat. But the last one was armed with the 2 57mm guns of its own, and it managed to take out one of the war machine's brethren. With this, both sides decided to retreat, not wanting to risk further casualties. Darkness once more. It was on the defense this time. Artillery shells raining from the sky. Explosions ravaging the land, leaving only craters and rubble. The machine doing its best to avoid direct hits, but it knew it was more luck than skill that kept it safe for now. A shell struck close. Too close. But not a hit. It could still move. It could still fight. A second one, closer this time. The explosion grazing its track, damaging it now. Only fate could save it from destruction. And as if by a miracle, it did. Darkness, and the Shaper had a feeling this would be the final time. There were no more battles, just visions of different places where the war machine was put on display. At this time, also finally, the name of this machine was made known to the Shaper. Sturmpanzerwagen, A7V, Mephisto. The Shaper opened his eyes and removed his hand from the steel. It could still feel the consciousness of the machine, no, the tank, radiate with pride, but also a bit of longing and sadness, as if it wanted to go into battle again, even if it was only for one more time. The Shaper pulled out a notebook and a pencil. Even though he already committed the machine and the way it was made to memory, he felt that something more was needed, so he started sketching. These would be the basis for the blueprints he would make for the weapon that would finally break the stalemate. When he finished drawing, he thanked the machine for sharing its story. And although he couldn't promise it, that the humans would agree, he would ask them if it could be sent into battle once more for a final fight.
They probably actually researched this thing.
Yeah, you could definitely tell that this person cares a lot about the tools themselves, the Maschinengewehr and the Sturmpanzerwagen. The only critique I would have is the sentence structure and stuff is really good, but there are places pauses should be, but they are not. And the storyline itself is really solid. I couldn't really tell when I was skimming through it that the storyline made sense. But now that Willow read it, it makes sense. I know what happened now.
Maybe a little bit more context before would be nice. Most of the critique I have is keep an eye on your punctuation and your grammar. There was some bits that were extra wordy. It's not always bad, especially for shorter stories. They can get into the really poetic kind of side of things. Here it is. A shell struck close, too close, but not a hit. It could still move. It could still fight. A second one, closer this time. The explosion grazing its track, damaging it. Now only fate could save it from destruction. Right there. It was very poetic, I guess you could say. Couple of sentences. One, they need to be broken up for more emphasis. And it's not bad. Especially when we're going with, hey, these machines have feelings. Stuff like that definitely adds emotion, and that's good. Just make sure to break it up into nice, readable bits. I think that's all I really have to say about this one. It was nice, short, and sweet. Alright, so this next one is by Creamimir. As I said, I'm going to do my hardest to pronounce all these wrong. Despite his best efforts to remain in his forge, Morlech's attempts were thwarted as his duties as an ambassador were called upon. If it were up to him, he would be in his forge, crafting great works for the dwarven kingdom with his own hands. But now, here he was in an otherworldly human vehicle, flying across the plains. He had heard rumors that the neighboring Winnorla Empire often opened portals to other worlds to exploit their resources before leaving. This time, however, they had awakened a giant. Frankly, Morlach was relieved that the Winorians had finally learned their place after years of aggression and conquest against neighboring kingdoms. Sooner or later, they would have set their sights on his beloved kingdom. Scanning his surroundings, he took in the craftsmanship of the vehicle. These otherworldly humans called it a helicopter. This one specifically named a Koanak.
What about the H?
There's no H. That's Koanak. I actually know how to pronounce this one this time. It's a Koanak.
Okay.
I mean, now I'm doubting myself, so I'm going to go look it up.
Apparently that's a Native American tribe.
Yeah.
Pronunciation. Cowanak?
Koanak?
Cow?
Cow.
Moo.
Cows.
Shawanoak?
Oh well, if I'm pronouncing it wrong, I'm sure everyone in the comments will tell me. These otherworldly humans called it a helicopter, this one specifically named a Koanak. It was masterfully constructed, though lacking the ornaments, cultural heraldry, and artistry that dwarven machinery proudly displayed. The helicopter bore a striking resemblance to his kingdom's gyrocopters. The one he was in had 2 rotors and an elongated body, seemingly designed for transport. Meanwhile, 2 smaller helicopters flanked them on either side, likely combat-oriented, as their fixed wings appeared to carry weapons unfamiliar to him. Realizing that the journey would take a while, Morlach placed his hand on the machine's metal walls. Using his kind's innate ability to sense the thoughts and feelings of machinery as if they were living beings, he listened. The Koanak responded to Morlach's request to listen. At first, it was difficult to understand the otherworldly machine, but like all machinery, they shared a similar song, and the dwarves could hear it. Here, my brothers and I are truly free. No pesky borders to worry about. No airspace to violate, no rivals to bring us down. Here our wings fly freely, as our hearts desire. Such glory and joy have not been ours since the jungles of Luzon. Oh, how I wish my predecessors could have experienced this too. I can feel my pilots sharing the same excitement, though they hide it beneath their professionalism and code words. I don't blame them. We share the same love for the freedom we have been given in these strange lands. Though I do grow jealous of the Jets. They have fewer worries than us, for we remain vulnerable in ways they are not. But this land is kinder than any battlefield we've flown over, and for that I am grateful. Morlach could sense the Koanak's joy and excitement, though many of its words baffled him. Luzon? Airspace? Jets? These terms and a few others were foreign to him. Still, he had never encountered a machine so filled with joy. Most machines he had communed with displayed stoicism, rage, or even contempt. But joy? That was a rare emotion among the crafted beings. This made Morlach wonder. What would the other strange machines of these otherworldly humans say? The grammar, the punctuation, spelling, on point. Beautiful. I didn't have any trouble other than my own dyslexia bothering me.
So many comments on gyrocopters.
Sounds like a sandwich copter.
Well, that last story, it felt very much lore. There was a lot of cool backstory stuff that I feel like made it feel like more of a world, which is good. I like that.
I agree. I probably only really like this one more just because it was easier to read. At the beginning of November, there'll be another prompt up, and it'll be going for about 2 weeks-ish for people to write their own and submit some short stories, and then I will have a chance to read them like I did now. And who knows, maybe we'll have a different group of friends to give their thoughts. If you liked it, go ahead and like the video, leave a comment, mayhaps subscribe, that's up to you. The link to my Discord will be in the description below, where you can find these lovely people who submitted the stories, and you can submit a story of your own for me to possibly, potentially, maybe read. Anyway, I should probably stop the recording.